So I decided to do 3 different vision boards as my visuals, because like happiness looks different for everyone, and so I did one for myself, one for what I think it will look like for Iceland people, and one just for like the general person. So first I have a vision board of what happiness looks like for me, and one thing this course has done for me is made me really just kind of like look at my life and like put together like what I think makes me happy now and what I think will make me happy in the future. So that's what this vision board represents. On the left, I have my sister, her cat Metro, and my family. And so my sister plays a huge role in my happiness because I, for one, consider her my lifelong best friend, which I think is important to have in life, just like a true confidant. And I love animals, and Metro is the closest thing I have to having a pet. And so I think that'll definitely contribute to happiness in my future, just like owning a pet and being surrounded by animals. Um, yeah, my family is also shown obviously because they're my support system, and life is made a lot easier knowing that like I have people who fully love and like support me and just like will always be there for me. So I think family is a big contributor to my happiness, and I'm very grateful for them. At the top, I have pictures of food because I really do love food, and so like it brings me a lot of happiness. So just like enjoying good food is something I really like to do, and I think it's important that like because I'm a vegan, so I think it's important to have something that you do take pride in, and like I guess being a vegan is that for me. Like I care about animals, and I can take pride in like knowing that I'm not consuming animal products. And on the right side of this vision board, I have pictures of my friends. The bottom right is me with my friends from high school because I think it's important to keep people in your life who make you happy, even if like you don't get to see them very often. Because I know a lot of us are like separated from a lot of the friends we made in high school, but I think it's important to like keep in touch with them if you care about them. Above them is a picture of me and the girls and some girls from the trip at the Blue Lagoon. Um, I just love meeting new people, and like making new friends I think is really fun and like would make anyone happy, and so that's what that represents. And at the top right is me with one of my new best friends that I made in college because I think it's important to have some close friends, and to let some of those close friends be new people. So just kind of to let new people into your life and not like solely rely on your best friends being people who've known you your whole life, because it can be really fun to like have new people get just as close to you in a short amount of time. And I think that was important for me, like knowing that I can go to a new place and still make important relationships. Um, So yeah, I chose the picture of us being Napoleon Dynamite and Pedro for Halloween because laughing and kind of just keeping things light and being surrounded by people who you can do that with and have just like a good time and really laugh with is also really important to me. Like laughing is probably one of the main ways I stay happy. And at the bottom, I have a picture of me with the soccer team because I enjoy playing soccer. Obviously, hopefully, or else I wouldn't be on the team. And just like the culture of being on the team is something I've always really enjoyed, so I wanted to stick with that. And having it also represents just having an active lifestyle, which doesn't necessarily have to be soccer. Like I enjoy running, swimming, biking, hiking, just like being active. I find that like one can like take pride in being active, and it just like if I go on a hike or something in the morning, like I'll feel refreshed for the rest of the day, which is a good feeling to have, and you're more likely to be productive throughout the day anyways. Yeah, and then there's my friend at the bottom also jokingly playing my guitar, and that kind of just represents how much I love music, and just like listening to music I feel like can change my mood. Like if I'm in a really bad mood, like I'll feel a lot better after like spend some time alone listening to music. And it also represents that I just think it's nice to have like a leisure activity to do. Like I just started playing the guitar, and it's just kind of something I actually like to do. So when I'm just bored and want to do something, like it's like a fun thing that I can do, which I think is really important. And it also just contributes to like being able to have fun with your friends and laugh about things and not take things too seriously. And so lastly, in the middle, I have a picture of Wrightsville Beach, me at Wrightsville Beach, because I love just being outside, like in beautiful places. So that's what that represents. I think it's really important for me to just like take walks and be outside in nature and just like be able to appreciate like the location of where I'm at. And so I love learning also, so it kind of represents that like I'm grateful that I'm able to go to a school that's in such a beautiful place, because like every day it lets me like be proud that like I go to school there. And it lastly just represents like alone time, because like I actively incorporate alone time into my schedule, like where I can just truly like be myself and relax without distractions. And so I think that's a big contributor to my happiness as well. So next I have a vision board of what happiness generally looks like for Icelandic people, and that's just based off of like what we've learned throughout the class and being with our guides and like things I've learned from like talking to the locals. And so on the left I have pictures of the glacier walk that I took in the kayaking trip, and so these pictures represent Icelanders' tendency to like stay active and be able to do so in such a gorgeous place. The bottom right is the statement, healthcare is a human right. Because I think the fact that Icelanders don't really have to worry about getting the health services that they need is very important. And like I'm not sure if they exactly like realize that or understand that, but I think that it definitely contributes to their happiness as well, because if they did have to worry about that, I think they would be like less happy than they are right now. And so next to that picture is a picture of the landscape at the bird park. And that just reminds me of Louisa, and it represents like the respect that Icelanders have for their land. And I think that being able to take pride in where you live and respect it and other people, like the people who are living there, is very important. So that's definitely a contributor. The last picture at the bottom is of Icelandic police officers whom I never even saw during the entire trip, which I thought was kind of insane. And I think respect is just like a common theme that I observed in Iceland, because there's not a great need for officers in the country, and so like there's just kind of this natural like intrinsic respect that people have in Iceland for each other and for the land they live on. And speaking of respect, I have the two pictures at the top of the public pools and the Blue Lagoon. And so those pictures also represent the respect that Icelanders have for their things and one another, because like it's a natural courtesy that everyone showers and bathes before getting into the spas. And so I think that's awesome, and like it lends itself to the cleanliness and like the hygienic nature of the country. Additionally, the spas represent how normal and casual it is for Icelanders to like take the time to relax and de-stress in spas. So that definitely, I think, might be one of the reasons that people consider Iceland to be one of the happiest places, because if you dedicate time to calming down and like, I don't know, just being to yourself and be able to relax and like kind of like treating yourself at the end of a long day, like that definitely could make anyone feel better. At the top right, I have a picture that just represents friendship. T and Dieter, and the two bouncers that I interviewed, they both, like both pairs of people, spoke of and like demonstrated strong friendships when I talked to them. So I think that might be a big contributor to Icelandic happiness, because like I know that like a lot of people I talked to were really surprised that Iceland was considered happy, but like when I was talking to the bouncers, for example, like one of them mentioned, well, like the main thing that keeps him happy is like his friend that he works with. Like he gets to go to work every day and spend time with like his best friend, which we learned is like having a best friend in the workplace, like that's helps people be happy and like what they do. So I thought that was interesting and definitely contributes to happiness, good friendship. And so on the right side, I have pictures of the natural, fresh resources that we came across in Iceland. The one of the top is, or the one at the top is the lady slicing the baked bread, and the bottom is a picture of boats at a harbor that was like near the bird park. And so that picture represents their fresh fish Um, Having good natural food is something I think that Icelanders take pride in and enjoy, and it's better than having to import those specific things. So that's like easily accessible and really fresh. And like I said, mine food I think can definitely make people happy when it's good. Lastly, in the center, I have a picture of the sunrise by the coast by our hotel, and I think the time of the year and amount of sunshine is a major contributor to Icelanders like mood and their happiness, considering like the seasonal depression that may be like prevalent there that we learned about. The picture also just represents like the extent of natural beauty that is in the country. So lastly, I have a vision board of what I think contributes to the general happiness of like an average person. And so at the top are pictures of nature and sunshine. And so I think it's important for someone to be in a place where they wake up every day and can take in just like natural beauties and don't have to like actively try to do that. The right picture at the top is a picture of a guy running, because I do think that being active gives a person a healthy feeling and something to take pride in that they do frequently. And like obviously it's good for you, and like illnesses and such can prevent happiness, like having them can. Even though I do think that like you can be happy without being like athletic, but I just think being active, being outside, like getting your body moving will like benefit you in the long run. Him running also represents having a passion, like no matter if it's running or writing or whatever. Like we've learned, and I agree, that it's important to have something to do that you truly enjoy doing, like something just for yourself. On the left, I have pictures of things that I think represent love. And so there's 3 pictures. So like whether it's companionship with an animal, friendship, or a romantic relationship, I think love can come in just many forms, and that it makes everyone's life more enjoyable. On the bottom, I have a picture of birds flying out of a cage to just represent freedom. And so, like I mentioned in one of my reflections, I talked to a Kenyan man about the general freedom just of our country in comparison to the lives of some Kenyan people, like including his sister that he was telling me about. And it really made me just think about how significant freedom is, and it's definitely a contributor of happiness to be able to do what you want under free will, and the lack of freedom is definitely something that would prevent one from being happy, and probably something that we honestly take for granted. On the bottom right, I have a picture of a man counting money, because I think affordability is a major contributor to happiness. Not having enough money for basic things or having to worry about expenses can definitely prevent people from being happy. On the right side, I have 2 pictures that represent struggle and overcoming struggle. And so we've learned throughout this course that happiness can't really exist without like its counterpart, that are things like sadness and like struggle and just loss. And I think that people can find pride and happiness in like overcoming loss and struggle. Like once you get through that, like you'll feel that much better about yourself. But like happiness can't really exist if there's nothing to compare it to. Lastly, the central picture is of the documentary titled Happy that we watched for class, and that basically represents everything we've learned through like statistics in this class. And I really enjoyed the documentary because it showed us what happiness looks like for different people. Kind of unlike the Blue Zones book, it didn't like concretely say like socialize for 6 hours or eat this many servings of fruits and veggies like in order to be happy. It just really showed us like here are the different lifestyles of people who consider themselves to be happy. So I really liked that. And so with that being said, I don't think there's an accurate generalization of what happiness looks like. I think that like it's great that countries are starting to measure this happiness, like the happiness of their people. And I guess I would say that the main reason for that is that like we've learned about happy people doing better in work. And so I guess that's a possible reason, like just looking at the economic side of it. But I'm not sure if we could ever get an actual like concrete estimation of what makes people happy, because literally everyone is different, and it's gonna look different for different people and just at different times of the year. Like if you ask someone if they're happy during like an high point in their lives, they're gonna say they're happy, but if they're going through that struggle, they might not be looking at that broader perspective, and they might be thinking like, no, I'm not happy right now, or my life has not been happy.